Hey, CK here with another Automation Monday. This week I'm going to strip it way back and address two of what I think are the most prominent questions that people have when we talk about automation. The first is, what would I even use it for? What would I automate? I think a lot of people assume that the work they do doesn't rise to the level of needing automation, but a great response to this is no. If something annoys you, that's your first clue that you should try to automate it. So there's a particular feature in Logic Pro that when it first came out, it's awesome, but there are things that just annoyed the out of me, and I immediately automated. Today's macro shows you that exact example. And then the second big question I think people have is it really as easy as you keep saying it is? And today's macro is super simple. It has 4 whole actions, and each one of them is really easy to understand. So let's take a look. All right, so in Logic Pro, just like a lot of DAWs, if you double click a MIDI region, it comes up in a piano roll so you can edit it. In Logic's case, the standard is it comes up in this lower editor section of the main window. Alternatively, you can option double click it to open it in its own window. And the same goes for pattern or step sequencer regions. If I double click it, it opens in the editor. If I option double click it, it opens in its own window. But the first thing I noticed about this window is it defaulted to this really small size. And I'm like, well, where's the fun in that? If I'm going to work with this sort of tactile device emulation, I want a big palette. I want a big screen area to play with. Whenever I open a step sequencer window, I want it to automatically be as big as my screen, whatever screen I'm using. Okay, so that's one thing. And then the other thing is MIDI and audio and a lot of other windows all have their own dedicated keyboard shortcut. And of course, that's easy to remedy, but you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They skip right over step sequencer, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0 is even in use, even though it's not listed here. So I can't really be compliant with their keyboard shortcut convention for opening a particular window or editor. So that kind of stinks. So I want to assign my own keyboard shortcut to it, and I want to make sure every time I open it, it goes full screen, because it's annoying that it doesn't. All right. And here we go. So I'm going to hit my Command Option 4, PAL. And there it is. So let's look how that macro works. And I promise you it's super straightforward. The first thing is I wanted to assign the keyboard shortcut. In Keyboard Maestro, that's a matter of saying the trigger that kicks off this macro is going to be a keyboard shortcut, and here's what it should be. So once you've added the trigger, it's highlighted like this, and you simply type whatever it is you want it to be. So blurg, whatever. I'll change that back to the way I like it. Now we come to the actions that will get triggered when I hit that keyboard shortcut. The first is I'm choosing a menu command. I'm choosing open step sequencer from the window command. So you saw that right here, and that will open the step sequencer window for the selected region. Easy. All right. The next one is wait until the front window of Logic has the words step sequencer in the title. All I'm doing is understanding that before I try to resize that window, I need to make sure it's there so that I don't move too quickly for Logic to keep up. So Keyboard Maestro has really smart pauses. I have a class that's all about them on Skillshare. And check it out. When I go over here and I issue my macro, you'll see that the step sequencer window is always going to end with the phrase step sequencer. So that's my way of knowing definitively that the window has come up and is happy. And now all that's left to do is really resize the window. And that is this part down here. And this is what's called a function. These are built into Keyboard Maestro, and you can think of them like helpers that go fetch a piece of information for you. And what's cool about them is that you can use them in the place of numbers, numeric values, in a lot of these actions. So this looks complex, but really all that's happening is we're saying, hey, Keyboard Maestro, get me some information about the screen that we're viewing right now and apply that same information to the front window to make it the same size as the front screen. Here, where does it start from left to right? Here is where is the top edge. Here is how wide is it, and here is how tall is it. So take all of those same pieces of information about the screen that we're using right now and apply it to resize my window that is called Step Sequencer, or has the title Containing Step Sequencer in the application Logic Pro. Easy as that, and we've just told Keyboard Maestro to make it effectively full screen. And the most complicated thing in this macro probably is that I use an if-then statement to say, just to save a little computing, I suppose, to say, hey, if this window is not already full screen, make it full screen. Otherwise, you don't have to do anything. That's all this if statement is doing. Okay? So super simple, really, really helpful, and takes care of an annoyance like that, which is something you should always think about. If something makes you go, oh, that's something you should try to automate. Okay? Be sure to check out the links in the description. There are links that get you a free month of Skillshare if you want to take my kind of getting started class about Keyboard Maestro. And I've just released a second class that covers pauses in Keyboard Maestro and how to use them really smartly. Cool. See you next time.